Hey guys, this is John, and I am playing Aghasiyev K in the 5-minute pool on ICC. Aghasiyev K from, is that Azerbaijan? Yeah, okay. Let's see who this player is. Agavasi Kamal, that's a very tough name for me to say. I'm going to play our usual Slav and get a slow Slav with bishop f5. I like this system a lot. I'm fond of it for black. Yeah, queen b3 is possible. Queen c7 is a reply. Usually they end up taking on d5 before black can play e6. So now I get to play e6, and I don't know that I've ever seen this exact position. Usually the knight would be on h4 and the bishop would be on g6 already. So this may be slightly unusual. I'm still going to play it like a conventional setup. Now here, because they're threatening to take on d5 multiple times with my undefended queen, I will play knight b6 in a bid to relieve the tension. Try to get them to take on d5. That's what I'm trying to accomplish with that move. So if they do take, I will take with the e-pawn. And I like the fact that my light square bishop is not being held hostage yet. Like if he goes knight h4, I can easily play bishop e6 if I want. Okay, that's an interesting move. Here, I have to be careful because queen d7 could maybe be met by knight takes a7, although I might have knight c4 in that case. It's interesting. Does that work? So queen d7, because d7 would be the more desirable square, although queen d7 gets hit by knight e5, so I probably shouldn't even bother thinking about that. I should just go here, because then they have to retreat their knight, don't they? Knight takes a7 no longer works because rook takes a7 and my queen defends the knight on b6. So they're going to retreat, and a3 is not an impressive square, so probably just knight c3 will be played. I'll just develop now bishop d6. I'm curious if they will play knight h4 ever. Part of me wants to play h6, like maybe now would be a good time to play h6. Just so if ever knight h4, I can just drop my bishop back, no problem. Okay, so comfortable position for black. How will this middle game shape up? Given the pawn structure, white's normal plan would be a minority attack, but you can see that their queen is not well placed to initiate one of those. Knight a4 can often be answered by knight c4. I'm just wondering about my b7 pawn if I do that. I might want to go knight e4, but he has bishop a5. That is kind of a threat in this position. So knight c4, queen takes b7, or take on c4 first, then queen takes b7. Doesn't look so good. Yeah, let's just take this guy. And jump our knight into e4. Attacking the bishop, we'll see where they place that. Yeah, they're trying to exchange the dark square bishops. Makes perfect sense. Okay, we'll go here. And if they take it, which way to take, knight or queen? There's some merits to both recaptures. The knight I stay more active. Or the queen I stay more active, I mean. So let's do that. Knight takes would also be good because the knight is really well placed on the d6 square in this setup. Okay, I'm going to play f6. Let's just eject this piece. You can go to d3. This is true, but I don't know. I guess I'm not overly impressed with white's play thus far. Let's go here. We'll see if he plays knight c5. He does. Trying to trade. Now, the knight is not that threatening on that square, so I kind of want to play knight g5 and keep my knight, because I could use it to create threats against his king. However, they might go b4, b5 if I don't trade. We have b7 protected, so my fear is not an attack on b7, but like if knight g5, b4, they're coming pretty fast with that. I think I might just want to play a6 or something. Yeah, let's do that. We'll let them take on e4 if they want. I will take with the bishop when that happens. Let me pre-move this. They might go b4, yeah, but their queen is in the way, so it's okay. Now, I wonder if I can start utilizing my kingside pawns. Because if I'm confident about the queen side, if I think the queen side will be shut down enough, I can start doing that. Okay, what to do now? They're clearly going to play a4. That's their plan. So how to proceed? I still want to go knight g5 for some reason. It's not so easy, though. All right, I need to make a decision because my time is ticking. Oh, boy. Okay, let's just take. That's a move I should have played much faster. Takes that way. Okay. I'm going to start pushing my kingside pawns. That's what I'm going to do. Don't want a bishop trade yet. Maybe I should have done one. So now his bishop looks more impressive than mine. This structure is so solid, I'm having a hard time figuring out what to do. We're just going to defend b7 with everything we've got. I'll play rook f7 sometime soon, although he has bishop g6 if he needs it. This is kind of a weird position, but he can only attack b7 by putting his queen there. So how about we go here? Preparing rook f7 if necessary. He was trying to go queen b1. That was his plan. Okay, you can advance that there. That's fine. I'm just going to wait now. I'm going to wait him out and see what he's going to do. Let's go here. Now let's try to trade these bishops. Because how is he going to make any progress on the queen side? Yeah, I have this b7 weakness, but as the principle of two weaknesses says, you need more than one weakness oftentimes to win a chess game. So he's avoiding the trade for now. I'm just going to try to play quick moves and make him use time, figuring out how to get through. So I think it's a difficult proposition for him. He's going to become low on time too if he's not careful. Like now, it's easier for me to find moves than him. If he's trying to play for a win, that is. I don't see what he's gaining by doing all of this. Okay, let's just trade. Yeah, this is a very equal position. I think my setup is close to optimal. I don't know if I'm going to advance these pawns any further. Don't see any point in doing that for now. Really? You're going to do this? He's going for it. Okay, let's remind him that d4 is still weak. Okay, let's go here. Now I can fire against his center pawns. This is nice. I don't think he should have played e4. That was hasty. Now he's going to be in full-scale retreat mode. I'm attacking a5, hitting d4. This is nice. Yeah, this is great. I can take here now. Ooh, this is nice.
Check.
Yeah, his position backfired quickly. He resigned. Okay, yeah, sometimes you need a strategy like that in a quick game. Like just turtle up and start making quick, defensive, solid moves and let your opponent be the one to figure out how to play the position. So let's have a look at it. So he played this line for white. This is the slow Slav where black plays bishop f5. Now, normally knight c3 is played, and then after e6, white's sole try for an advantage is knight h4. I shouldn't say sole try, but the most common try for an advantage is knight h4, trying to pick up the bishop pair. He didn't do that, though. He played queen b3, hitting b7. So I defended with queen c7, knight c3. There's a line where they take on d5 and then play knight c3. Black has to exercise more care in this position because the b file is open and there's ideas with knight b5 and such. But he did not take on d5 for a while. So e6. He could throw in knight h4 still if he wanted. But this is a device that happens in the Slow Slav. Is Black can play knight bd7 to b6 to try to relieve the tension. Because if I were to play a normal move here, like bishop e7, he can take. And if I take with my pawn, he can take here, is the problem. Knight takes and then queen takes. And because of the pin on the queen, Black is going to end up worse. So, yeah, that's why knight b6 is a good move to force white to do something about the c4, d5 tension. So he took, I took with the e pawn to keep the c file closed. Yeah, so here I was speculating like what happens if something like this, because his knight might be stranded on this square. But then when I noticed that he has knight e5, I just immediately dropped that line and stopped calculating it because there's no point. Knight e5 is just a useful tempo move anyways. So queen d8, knight back to c3, bishop d6, bishop e2. I think all these moves are pretty standard. Okay, so I'm going to use the engine starting with knight a4 because I thought my position was pretty good, but I didn't demonstrate it over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 moves. So I took, yeah, knight c4 is an interesting move that I pulled off before when people play knight a4, but I remember the time that I did this OTB, the pawn on b7 was protected. Like, let's say Black had the queen on e7, then it would be good because if they try to capture multiple times, like rook takes c4 and queen takes c4 would fail to b5. But yeah, here he has this move, so that just totally defeats the purpose of knight c4. So knight takes a4 is played. And I see the engine is suggesting that I play more prophylactically on the queen side. Or maybe prophylactically isn't the right term. Proactively, let's say. So starting a pawn initiative myself before he gets to put his pawns out there at will. Yeah, that's a good point. a5 probably makes sense. I went knight e4. I forgot that bishop b4 was a good idea for white in this position, trading the dark square bishops. So a5, in addition to stopping b4, also stops bishop b4. So I do see the value of that move. So bishop b4, rook e8, take. I probably should take with the knight in retrospect, because my knight on e4 wasn't doing anything after he played knight e5. I think I'm drifting into a worse position now. Certainly after he gets knight c5 in, I must be slightly worse. Because I don't have much to chew on the king side or the center, where traditionally Black looks for play in this setup. I played a6, but after b4, queen back to d1, and there's never a good opportunity for knight takes f2 or whatnot. So eventually I just agreed to trade the knights, which also might be a mistake. I maybe shouldn't do that. I was a little surprised by b takes because I know it makes Black's position super passive to do this, but in positions where you're only attacking the b7 pawn, it's really tough to win. I think if I were white, I would have played rook takes and looked to do a conventional a4 and b5. I know the engine doesn't like this as much, but if it were me, I would much like my chances. I would much prefer my chances in this setup than the one he got in the game. Chances to win, that is. Because now I'm definitely worse, and I have very little counterplay. Here I should have just traded bishops, by the way. That was a mistake not to. So I'm definitely worse now, but he needs another weakness. This is classic like principle of two weaknesses stuff. I'm not going to lose based on the b7 pawn itself. He needs to open up another front somewhere, which he tried to do later with that f3 and e4 idea, but it was mistimed. I'm quite a bit worse now. I mean, you can see the eval. He thinks he's ahead by more than a pawn. I was hesitant to play a move like f5, even though the engine's suggesting it. I thought that would lead to a deterioration of my position more than anything. And here I took the opportunity to play bishop f5. So I had to take some caution. Like after rook b2, he's preparing queen b1, which would hit b7 multiple times. And if ever I defend like this, I think he has this bishop g6 move. Maybe not. Maybe I have some like wacko defense like this, but that seemed like a pretty real threat to me. So that's why I played rook c7, so that after rook ff7, bishop g6, I can play rook fe7. My rook has more lateral scope. I honestly think this position might be a draw. Unless he can do something with his majority in the center / king side. Otherwise, I know the computer is going to constantly say that black is worse, but that's not a surprise. It's just because white has control and black just has to sit there and defend. But that being worse does not necessarily translate to a loss. So now we trade the bishops. Earlier it was unclear to me who the bishop trade favors, but definitely later on, when his bishop was so well placed on d3, I had no qualms about trading, and I was seeking it out. I was expecting a move like king f2 in this position, just waiting. Yeah, and I mean, if this were an OTB game, maybe now I would start considering stuff like f5, just to hinder e4, maybe create a little counterplay of my own on the king side, grab some space. So rook e7, e4, take, queen d7. Yeah, now the time was all evened up, and he was the one who started having to defend his weaknesses. He had to stage a full-scale retreat, bring the troops home, as Danny would say, bring them back from their attacking positions. Yeah, now queen takes a5, and he just started dropping material. Yeah, this is bad. It occurred to me that he might have this move, trying to deflect this, but I see now, yeah, I have queen c1, winning the rook. Yeah, so he's busted here. Played h4, I took. Rook takes d4 was also very strong.
Check.
Yeah, and I'm up 3 pawns clear with nothing for him to show for it. So, amazing how fast that turned around. And playing quick moves was key in my defensive strategy too, because I was low on time as well. I think one important thing from this game is that decision to take on c5 with the b pawn. This can be debated, but even seeing the computer eval, I think rook takes is the better practical move in this position. I just don't think these structures with b takes are as robust, and they don't put black under as much pressure as if rook takes in the traditional minority attack with a4, b5 is kept on the table. It depends on the minor pieces. Like if he had, let's say, I don't know, a knight that could maybe come to a5 to eventually join in an attack on b7, that might be slightly different. But a light square bishop is never going to be able to attack b7 in a meaningful way. So he's only hoping to attack b7 with all his major pieces, but I can assign all my major pieces to defend. So in my mind, the only way he can win a position like this is if he breaks through in the center like he tried to do later, or somehow attacks me on the king side. It just seems unlikely. I kind of believe black should defend after this. So regardless of what you think, I think we can all agree this is a major decision for white, like which way to capture. I mean, sometimes there's even this capture too, as occurred in my game with Multicast, actually, in one of my Blitz games with him. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this 5-minute game. I'll be back tomorrow with another 5-minute game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.